walkers, crawlers, blood, guts, and all that is zombie. It's time for Tony and Josh to recap this week's AMC's The Walking Dead.
Oh my God, we got to get into this, Josh. This is going to be Season 6, Episode 5 now. And if you don't know, this is a discussion about The Walking Dead that Josh and I have been doing every week. I guess we started maybe a couple of years ago, a couple of seasons back.
Yeah.
And talking about this. Not looking forward to the mid-season hiatus at all.
No,
this was a very good episode, I thought.
Well, I wouldn't say very good, but
I'm
it
saying very
certainly
good, damn
was
it.
good enough, I will say. Now, it didn't leave me disappointed, but it definitely left me wanting more. Now, the mood in Alexandria is quite grim after a number of setbacks. This might prove too much for the sheltered citizens inside the gates. Now, that's the description from AMC.com on this fifth episode of the 6th season of The Walking Dead, titled Now. Now, the last few episodes, we've kind of had a look back, and we've seen some of the other little bits and pieces of some history of some of our some of the actors on the show, or at least some of the characters, rather.
Morgan.
Last show was all about Morgan and pretty much how he came to be and how he came to be who he is in this world of the Walking Dead.
Relatively sane.
Right. Oh no, perfectly normal, perfectly natural. If you guys haven't seen episode 604, it's definitely a good episode.
Oh, that was a very good episode.
I would say unlike any other Walking Dead episode that they have produced.
It was very different.
It had a different feel. It had a different sound, a different look to it. All in all, it was different and it was good.
And it had a goat.
Yeah, and it had a goat. This episode, it was different from those. Kind of goes back to what we typically expect from The Walking Dead. Now, this one wasn't quite as chock full of action as I would have liked to have seen. This one was more full of answers and bringing you back up to speed.
Maybe that's why I enjoyed it. That's probably why I enjoyed it, because they answered some questions. Yeah. And before you continue, I want to point out something. You said that at the end of our last segment about this, the last week 604 that we were talking about. You said that you thought that Morgan was rushing off to the gate because Rick was going to be running through zombies coming to the fence. Did I not
call it, or what?
I was very disappointed that it wasn't Glenn in the dumpster boat like I had predicted.
Yeah, no, I was hoping.
I just want to mention that you were 100% right on that. You
thank you.
You sick bastard, you've bribed somebody to get the inside information, because I know you couldn't think that up on your own.
Well, we're actually going to have a surprise interview with a couple of the cast members next week. No, I'm kidding. That's not ever going to happen.
No, it won't.
But psychic predictions may still continue to happen every now and again. So this episode kind of opens up with the sneak peek that I let you guys in on from last week, with Deanna up on top of the wall. She kind of sees a plaque that her late husband Reg had made. It was the first panel of their wall that they had put up, and he had kind of scribbled a little plaque out and stuff. She's having this nostalgic moment and stuff like that. She's obviously a very distraught woman, gone through a lot of loss,
a lot of depressions on her face.
And I'm surprised, Tony, that she hasn't killed herself yet, because
it could go either way. I mean, with all the stuff that she's gone through, loss of loved ones, surrounded now by zombies, both internal and external. And I'm referring to the zombies on the inside that didn't want to carry guns. They don't want to do this. They want to do that. It's all peaches and love and peace and tree hugging and everything like that. And now Deanna is seeing the reality of how she has governed these people and put them in this situation.
That's a good way to put it, because it was really reality sort of knocking her upside the head hard.
3D in your face reality.
And she sees this zombie horde for the first time. I mean, sure, they've seen a couple of walkers here and there, but Alexandria has not seen a horde of zombies. They haven't seen really a large group of zombies, for that matter. And at one point in time, Deanna kind of is standing there and seeing this massive throng of zombies, and it kind of clicks to her.
Well, they had no idea. They had no idea that this is the reality of it.
Well, I think that at the moment that Rick and his group showed up, he's pretty much been preaching, this is the way the world is now. And if you guys don't wake up and smell the coffee right now, you're not going to make it. And he's pretty much said that almost every single episode that we've had where that Alexandria has been featured. And this is really kind of starting to ring home with Deanna as the episode goes on. She comes from this like literally zombie-like state of just really kind of floating through what's left of her life. She is not the take charge, powerful woman that we saw earlier on in her storyline. Now she is this broken woman who is just absolutely doesn't have any will to live anymore.
If she wasn't, I wouldn't value the reality of the story. I mean, anybody that had gone through this stuff.
Having her have this breakdown and having her, really be brought down to this level from where she was is very realistic and really helps you connect with the character and it makes it believable.
Yes.
And when a character's storyline is believable and relatable, you make a connection with your viewers.
You have to buy into the story for it to be good.
Right. And I think that's kind of what the producers have been doing all along with these little shoutbacks, these little glimpses back into the history of characters and stuff. We are getting to know the characters on a more relatable and believable level.
That's what they do in novels. That's one of the reasons why novels are so good. As long as the writing is good, you really get to understand the characters and the situations they're in. And you don't normally see this in a television series. So, hats off to anybody that can convince the people that are spending the money for you to make the show to allow you to take the time to tell a good story, because that is what we all enjoy, is the good story. I mean, things that blow up, things that die, things that are ooey gooey, like later on in the show where there's a situation where Maggie's trying to push back a zombie and she can't.
Yeah.
But I don't
get into that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. All those type of things are really cool and have a good ick factor. But if you don't have a story, you don't got it.
Yep. And the writers at AMC for The Walking Dead have certainly done a very good job over the years of really making the story come to life and not just, visually, but also
mentally,
emotionally and mentally. A lot of the episodes really make you think. And once you just aren't sitting there and letting the boob tube stream entertainment into your eye sockets, and you engage some of the cortex of your mind, you're able actually to enjoy programming on a different level. That being said, bring on the guts.
Yeah, I mean,
on the guts,
well, if we don't have the action, then it's not a well-rounded show for the male audiences, and I'm sure some females out there too. It didn't dawn on me, but as soon as Maggie had this death-defying, I'm going to do this thing that she was going to do. It hit me.
We're kind of jumping ahead here because she doesn't. We don't know why she's doing that yet. Because now, like I said, this show or this episode opens up with a little sneak peek that we had last week with Michonne telling Sasha and Maggie that kind of what's happened, that Glenn didn't make it back with the rest of the group, but he promised to send a signal if they got stuck. There's just not a lot of hope.
And of course, it's not just Glenn. There's several members of the group that are missing that should have been back.
And one of them comes, as predicted by this co-host, comes running up to the gate, and we hear the yelling
open the gate,
open the gate, open the gate, and sure enough, it's Rick coming sprinting with a whole horde of zombies right behind him.
I guess you could do it if you had to, but boy, that would just be a pucker factor running through those zombies like that.
Right. Now, I mean, if anybody could do it, it's Rick. But he makes it into the gate just in time. Michonne opens it, tears it open, slams it shut just as the massive herd arrives.
And you have to make a decision. Do you want to yell and call attention to yourself from all the zombies, or do you want to hope somebody sees you as you're running up and not? Because
there were zombies already at the gate. He didn't have a clear runway ahead of him. No, he had to. There was some action that had to take place in order for him to get through the last remaining few zombies that were at the gate to run away and get to safety from the ones that were behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
but the good news is Rick is back.
Well, yes, Rick is back, and he assures that everybody that Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham, they're all going to be returning back with their vehicles. They're going to lure all these other walkers away. The plan is going to work as it's been planned. Just a little bit of a hiccup. We got to kind of call an audible here, and he urges everybody to just keep the noise and bright lights down to a minimum. To keep drawing any more people or any more zombies to Alexandria, and of course they definitely don't want to draw any more people either. As we saw with with the wolves attacking a couple episodes back. So there's kind of a big meeting happening right now because of all this commotion at the gate. A lot of Alexandrians have kind of congregated around Rick and listening to him, tell his speech and stuff about everything's going to be okay. Our guys are going to be back. The plan's going to work, et cetera, et cetera. Well, this is when Aaron kind of senses the mood of everything, and Aaron's the one who scouted this group to begin with, and he's the one who went out with Daryl and lost his backpack. And this is when he confesses that the losing of that backpack is probably why the wolves attacked Alexandria to begin with.
I think the way he put it was that Daryl wanted to continue looking for more people to possibly bring into Alexandria, but he wanted to scout for food. And when they scouted for food, they went into that trap. I think it was the 18-wheeler trailers that were set up and all that stuff. And that's how he lost the backpack and the pictures and all the paraphernalia, the info pack that he was going to give to potential new Alexandria residents. So, yeah. And I thought it was wonderful that he stood up there in front of everybody and owned up to that. And
he did.
It was very well timed because they were looking at Rick for bringing this horde down upon him with this ill-conceived plan. I mean, nobody said that, but that's what they were thinking.
Well, and really, Aaron kind of hails to Rick saying, hey, if it wasn't for this guy, we'd all be screwed.
Yeah, it was coming one way or another.
It's his plan that is the only reason that we are still here. And he's like, you got to give it up for this guy. He knows what he's talking about. And if it wasn't for him, we'd probably all be dead. So, we see Deanna kind of wander off in a daze.
She just walks off in the middle of the speech.
Just middle of a sentence. Just walks off. And everybody's like, hey, mayor lady, do you want to get back here and kind of, do your job or something?
Delegate, look mean.
Something, But we see Jesse now dragging that woman that she went at with some scissors from her kitchen to the graveyard and starts to dig a grave.
So wouldn't you have wrapped her up? I mean, that's a lot of cleanup afterwards,
I don't remember seeing a head wound, but okay.
She definitely went. She definitely went for the head with those scissors. And I don't think I'd put those ooey gooey scissors up on the counter when she was dragging out. You could see the scissors on the counter and a nice big blood pile. So yeah, Jesse's had enough, and she actually runs across a lady in a house, a zombie in a house. And from what I could tell, maybe you saw this too.
I saw it too.
The lady had blood on her arms, which I think meant that she had committed suicide.
Well, it wasn't just blood. We actually saw as the woman, this zombie woman, she obviously was an Alexandrian who had turned. Why did she turn? Well, as her hands were kind of banging up on the window, we see on her wrists and forearms big giant slashes.
See, I didn't see that. I saw the blood kind of on the window, like it was
you could see the wounds kind of open and close and the skin spread and stuff like that. They did a decent job.
It was really quick.
Making you see these deep lacerations. This woman clearly slit her wrists and bled out.
And you see this reoccurring theme. Everybody thinks they're dead. They think they're dead. This is the end. There's no reason for us to what do you call it whenever you have rations?
Ration. They raid the pantry.
Yeah, and hell with this. If I'm gonna die, I want to die full.
Yeah, and what it was Deanna's, I think, last remaining son, Spencer.
That's he did some Sears modeling, I think. And he was the same one that stopped the truck from running through the fence.
Yeah, it took him a clip and a half to do it, but
but who's counting?
Who's counting? But and he actually at one point somebody had said, hey, if it wasn't for you, that semi would have probably crashed through the gate and we wouldn't be here.
Right.
So he's like, well, it was just luck. And it really was.
What was it?
But
luck?
Nonetheless,
good. What was it? Luck or skill or luck? I think is what it was.
I think she's law of averages. You throw enough lead down range down to hit something.
She says it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was luck or skill. What you did was what we needed. So
yeah, just keep it up.
So
right?
it was great,
Keep it up.
And it looked like this guy was going to be a leader. I mean, he actually stops the raid.
He does. We have several people and a couple of burly guys, mind you, that are in the midst of raiding the pantry for all the provisions. They're like, well,
lady
what's the point?
unarmed.
What's the point of rationing if we're all going to be dead here in the next few days anyway?
The lady at the pantry, unarmed, is saying, well, wait up now. We have to ration this out because we have a limited amount of food. We can't get out to collect food. So, and then like you say, the burly guys go, my family is hungry. We're dead already. So we might as well eat. And they just walk past her and she's like, oh, well, what am I going to do? And Deanna's standing there. And I can't remember. I don't think Deanna's son was standing there. I think he walked up about the time
he walked
they're
up
collecting
as
stuff.
people were, clamoring for the food. And he's like, whoa, wait a minute here. And he gives a semi-decent little speech. And it's enough to calm the nerves a little bit and get the people to head back to their residence.
And there's a glimmer of hope in Deanna's eyes watching her son do this. There's a slightest
bit of a proud smile.
Yeah, not too much, but
no. It's like, hey,
there's a lot of crap going on. You can't smile big, even though this is nice. You can't smile big with all the crap that's going on. But there was a glimmer of hope in her eyes.
Well, back in the speaking of where they store things and stuff, back in the I guess it's the armory or whatever. Aaron catches Maggie getting a kit together. She's rigging up a flashlight to a rod. I think she's a couple of rebars ready, a couple of guns, something. She's obviously up to something.
Bag of Tootsie Rolls,
and I think that she's getting to the point of where she needs to go enact some revenge. I mean, at this point, she also lets us know that she is pregnant. Now, I think I might have called this one too. I said the only way that Glenn is going to be dead is if Maggie is pregnant. And as soon as she told Aaron
Glenn is not she was pregnant, dead. Glenn is not dead, damn you.
When she said to Aaron that she's pregnant, I started cussing. I started screaming at the TV. I started yelling, and I was just like, "God damn it, God!" Because I knew that what that means. Well, okay, that now it's just even that much more of a tragic loss that Glenn is dead, because now Maggie is a single mom and she's gonna have to raise his kid all alone. And Aaron is certainly doing a very good job as a gay man for being that shoulder to cry on for this damsel in distress.
I can see, speaking of zombies, people turning into zombies, I can see Aaron doing a turn of himself if Glenn doesn't make it.
Yeah, he just might. There's certainly, I may just be projecting here, but there seems to be a little bit of chemistry between Aaron and
I thought so too.
Maggie.
Yeah.
So what happens with that? I don't know. I'm gonna call out a prediction right now that chemistry is going to develop, and there may be a rising love interest or something. I don't know for sure.
Glenn's going to come back, and Aaron's going to be best man at the wedding.
I'm going to predict there's going to be this love triangle, and it's going to be established at third point with Glenn's return.
And Aaron is just going to be so confused. I don't understand.
What do I do?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think of it, but whenever Maggie decided she was hell bent and going out through those zombies, and she was going to go find Glenn. Of course, she's going to go find Glenn.
She's talking about hopping the wall, and Aaron's just like, "You're not going to make it. There's no freaking way that you're going to make it 5 feet, 2 steps after scaling that wall before you're eaten alive. I'm going to help you. I've got a safer way out.
I've got a plan."
So, all right, flash cut, and we're back to Deanna now, and she's with Reg's wedding ring, and she's sitting there playing with it and stuff like that, and all of a sudden, boom, she snapped like somebody just shot her with 7,000 cc's of straight Bolivian marching powder. And she just comes to life and starts going psychotic on this map and this drawing, and she's scribbling and she's drawing and she's writing, and she's just going balls out on this master plan or whatever it is. And it looks like, what I can tell, is an expansion of the community. Now we had heard in a few episodes back about her plans. I think it was her and Maggie. Maggie's trying to be like, hey, you wanted to build this garden. Are you not wanting to do that now? Sort of thing. And so I think Deanna finally found her spark.
Well,
she got her.
It's going to be
groove
you
back.
give up or you fight, and
fight or die.
And her
We've
character,
heard that before.
her character is fight. That she's decided she's going to fight. The hell with these zombies. I'm going to survive.
Well, a refreshed Deanna, renewed and reborn or whatever, I think is about ready to kind of, share her master plan with people. And she finds Spencer in the kitchen, drunk.
Yeah, he drops a glass, I believe, which I just knew there was a zombie in the house when I heard that glass break.
Yeah, there was, and she comes in to find him kind of stumbling over, and he has a whole bin of food, and obviously he was up to no good. After that big whole speech,
amazing.
He turns around and steals booze, steals a bunch of food, and of course she tries to give him a good rimming for it, saying, come on now, that's, everybody else, you're giving them a false sense of security. And, basically he blows up on her and blames her for Reg's and his brother's death.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he doesn't even apologize after he realizes the damage that he
knows
did.
exactly what he says and kind of has that,
I shouldn't have said that.
I shouldn't have said that, but he doesn't say that, nor does he apologize.
And did you hear the explanation why it was okay for him to take a buttload of food and not for everybody else to do it?
He's actually, done some stuff to save some people.
It's only one person.
Truck. He's killed some zombies.
Yeah,
he earned.
He deserves it. And it's only one person raiding the pantry, not a bunch of people raiding the pantry. Right. So it's okay.
Yeah,
and that little glimmer of hope that Deanna had for her son and the future and his future leadership dwindled away.
Yeah, pretty much spilled on the floor.
I mean, he's gone through a lot too. But for him to stand there and tell those people not to raid, we have to ration, and then to go and do that. And he doesn't even think twice about it after he sobers up. We see him stowing away some crackers under his coat later. So, and munching all those things out in front of everybody.
Something else we saw was a little scuffle between Carl and Ron. And we think this might be over another early developing love triangle between Enid and these two little teenage boys. Now, Enid is the troubled girl who we got a little history lesson on a few episodes back.
I call her Turtle.
Okay.
You are what you eat.
And she ran away after, or I should say during, towards the end at least, of the raid on Alexandria by the wolves. So now Enid is nowhere to be found. Ron obviously wants to know what's up, and Carl does too.
Carl wants to find her.
Coral.
And
Carl asks Ron to help him out. Hey, let's go find Enid. This is your friend, my friend. Let's make this happen. Well, Ron refuses and threatens to tell Rick if Carl goes out after Enid on his own. They kind of have this little brawl, this kind of a wussy fight. I'm surprised there wasn't hair pulling and scratching, but Carl ends up throwing Ron to the ground. It's a decent takedown, but all in all,
Ron doesn't get back up.
Yeah, Carl kind of walks off, and Ron's left there to, I'm going to tell on you.
Yep.
So we're at the infirmary now, and our new doctor, Denise.
Well, wait a second before you move forward. I'm gonna tell on you. I'm gonna tell your dad, because if you go out there, you're gonna get somebody killed, and that's what stops Coral and makes him think.
Well, it stops him in his tracks. It does make him think, but then he continues on. So we don't know if he took that to heart. We don't know if he's just going to be a little stubborn and go after Enid anyways. Mm-hmm. We don't know.
But there's a glimmer of hope, because he may get somebody killed because of his actions. So I think it makes him think twice.
He realizes that, and he knows what that means. And he knows that it could be anybody, including his own father.
And it turns out to me, because I've been kind of concerned about this kid, not Coral. What was the other kid's name? You just said it.
Ron.
Yeah. Okay. I've been kind of concerned about Ron because, his dad did get killed by Rick, and that's, Coral's dad. So I'm a little concerned about what's going on. When he's stabbing the dirt with that knife, I'm thinking he's thinking of some way he can get back at this family. So I was a little surprised to see Ron actually make a credible
observation,
make a credible threat against Coral to save him and other people of the community. But I don't quite trust him yet, and we get to a point up on the gate here in a little bit with Rick and Ron talking, and I don't trust him. I think there's going to be something bad happen or try to happen with those two.
No, I agree. And he had asked Rick to help him learn how to shoot a gun,
right?
Which to me screams, "I'm going to shoot you once I learn how." So I don't trust this kid as far as I could throw him, which is probably more than I should trust him. So I think that we're going to see trouble from Ron in the future.
Yeah, I mean. But I was happy to see that he's actually maybe being a good guy by trying to keep people, not only keep Coral safe, but also to other people of the community from being killed. Now, it could be that he just wants to kill Rick and Coral himself.
Yeah, it very well could be.
So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But it was something that I wanted to mention because I thought it was I think it's something we're going to see more of in the storyline.
And I think you're right. And that's a good point that you brought up. So, what do you think of this new doctor?
I like her. I think she is really neat. I like the way she's doing a very good job. The actress is doing a very good job of being in a situation where she has no training. Well, she's got some training.
Little, yeah.
And and I thought she was handling the potential death of her one of her very few customers, if you will, her patients. And she was looking through those books, and she's on
the floor.
She's literally sitting on the floor.
She's got all these medical journals and books all spread out around her and stuff, and it's she's obviously having a moment.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of in this midst of a breakdown. We kind of saw that after they lost that one patient they were trying to save during the raid. He died. Now we've got this other guy who's got a pretty nasty leg wound that looks pretty infected, and she's pretty sure that he's not going to make it.
I just want to mention this. I love the part where she slides that big medical book across the floor, and Tara opens the door just at the right moment to put her foot out and stop the sliding book.
I know, that was great.
That was very well timed. If you think about how that shot was done, I mean, maybe it's easier than what I think it is, but I guess given an infinite number of times and typewriters and monkeys, you can get anything right. But I thought that was pretty cool. But Tara comes in and gives the new doctor a pep talk. Well, sort of a pep talk.
Yeah,
but it's the right thing. It is the right thing she needs to hear. So
it was a little bit of a little pep talk, a little shot in the arm, as you were, and basically, kind of gives her some perspective. I don't know. It lifts her spirits a little bit, but she's definitely still very frustrated, very scared, very unsure if things are going to happen. But
gets her back to the book.
Resolve might be a little bit more renewed at this.
Got her back to the book and opening up and looking through there again. And I thought it was funny. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead on this. I thought it was funny whenever she finally found what it was she needed to do to help this massive infection in the leg. It was hilarious. It was extremely simple.
Here, I'm just going to shove a syringe in here and
suck out the pus.
Yeah.
Now I got something for my cream cheese filling. I thought that was great. She was very happy, and she goes and seeks out Tara and plants a kiss square on her mouth. And
does she ever?
And Tara is kind of like, this is awkward.
Okay. Well, we see Aaron and Maggie duck through what looks like a storm drain or something like that out in the middle of a field. Mm-hmm. And
I think it was something that was there, part of the community before Alexandria, the walls and stuff went up. So it was the sewer system for that area.
Yeah. It looked like some kind of a drainage system or sewer system. In any case, it's dark. It's ominous.
It's
there's
great.
No light.
Great place for Halloween.
everything in this world wants to kill you at this point. Yeah, a great place to have a picnic. They don't have a picnic, but they do head down this sewer thing, and Aaron kind of leads her to this.
I'm sorry. The idea is that they think they can get out and get around the zombie horde through these tunnels, through the sewer system, and they don't know. Yeah. But that's the reason why they're trying it, because this is a lot safer than jumping down the side of a 30-foot fence and maybe twisting your ankle or breaking something.
Exactly. So Aaron's like, okay, well, here's the first way out. But they look out, and it's like through this pipe. It's kind of half underground. It's got a big steel gate on it. Nothing can get in or out unless they want it to. And obviously they're not past the horde yet. They still have to go further. But he doesn't know if there's any more ways out, what kind of condition they're in. This is pretty much as far as they go.
And, they find that ladder that I didn't really recognize it as a ladder, but that's what they called it. They find this ladder blocking the way, and they take, instead of just stopping and turning around and going back, they take the time to actually pull that ladder out of the way, and Aaron gets a head wound in the process, apparently a fairly bad one, where Maggie says he needs stitches and tries to talk him into going back and having that taken care of. But not before they find 2 zombies underneath the ladder and I guess below the water line, because this was some nasty ass zombies.
Now we've seen back. Let's see, was this last season or the season before, where the team was doing a little bit of a recon? They find themselves in a flooded store of some kind, and we saw some swamp zombies, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
And this one was certainly of that ilk.
Yes.
And very squishy, very soft, and Maggie just. This was not the Maggie that we know. This was not the Maggie that we have seen. And I was kind of pissed because she kind of freezes and she doesn't know how to hold her knife any longer. And she just becomes this, oh, what do I do? Oh, and it's like, really? Well, you're a badass bitch.
Did you notice,
you should be able to handle yourself.
Did you notice she didn't make an icky girly face when she was running her hand through that zombie? There was nothing solid for her to hold on to as she was trying to keep this zombie off of her. And it reminded me of my wife stuffing the turkey during Thanksgiving time, because there was skin going, the hand was going in, and the skin was like a glove.
She was trying to push the zombie off. It was not happening. She was elbow deep into this water, literally into the chest cavity, almost pretty much pushing the scapula back out through the back of the left of its body. And we think that Aaron is not gonna, He's knocked in the head. He's bleeding.
Yeah.
He dropped his knife. He's not going to be any good. He's got to deal with his own zombie, but he comes and saves the day.
Yep.
So
he even mentions it to her whenever she tells him to go back. He's going, look, I helped you out. Give me a little break here. You need me, because, and I think that I really think that there should be a rule that you don't go out by yourself. You at least have to be in pairs. So, I mean, you never know what's going to happen.
Buddy system.
Exactly. So they get to the exit of this sewer system, at least one of the exits. I don't know if it's the only exit. And there's all. And what do you think, Josh? They went 30 feet outside the fence. I mean, you see the zombie horde. I don't know how thick we don't have any scale of how far they had traveled underground before they came to this point. But they traveled like 6 years and they come out like 30 feet outside the fence. They were in that sewer a long time.
But what we do know is that they aren't far enough, and that's pretty much as far as they're going to be able to go.
I was very disappointed. I thought she was going to go out and find Glenn, or at least get on that quest to find Glenn.
It's clearly not the right time yet. It's just plain and simply impossible at this point for her to be able to do that. So unfortunately, this episode, again, we do not get any further closure on the status of Glenn.
Glenn or Sasha or I'm blanking on the sergeant's name, Abraham Ford, and of course we don't know what's going on with. Oh my God, I'm having horrible. I didn't see them in the last episode. the guy on the motorcycle, Daryl. We don't know what's going on with Daryl either.
No, I've got a little tidbit of information for you guys here when we finish up about Daryl, but I'll get that here in a minute. Now, from the Lookout Post, Rick is radio Sasha and Abraham, but he's not getting any response. He's trying to reach out to them. They've got communications devices. They're not getting any radio back. Not necessarily a bad sign, but not a good sign either. They could just be out of range. Don't know. Now, Ron finds Rick up there and tells them that he stopped Carl from pursuing Enid, going after her. So he does tattle on Carl after all. And Rick's like, okay, thanks, whatever. And he's going to go out and go look for Carl now to make sure that Carl is staying put and ask, hey, Ron, where's the last time you saw him? Oh, he was, on the porch with the, what's the baby's name?
With the baby.
The baby. The baby. But he's like, hey, you think you can teach me to shoot one of these days? So Rick pulls out his big old 45 Dirty Harry revolver, hands it to this little boy, empties out all the bullets except for one, and instructs him to target a walker in the herd. And the camera pans down from the herd, and we're looking up now to the top of the wall and seeing a young Ron trying his best to aim a big heavy gun at the head of a walker.
A little less heavy with the bullets removed.
Yeah, certainly. So now Jessie, this is the girl that attacked the wolf in the house and stabbed her many times with the scissors. This is the love interest of Rick, kind of. Jessie tries to convince her youngest son Sam to come downstairs. She's got some
with
cookies. She's trying everything, and the boy he's afraid. He doesn't want to go downstairs because he says, well, when I'm up here, nothing has changed. Up here, everything is still the same. Down there's blood on the floor, and you're a murderous woman.
You're a hero for taking the fight to the enemy, so protecting your family.
So she reluctantly, she doesn't get him to come down. He reluctantly kind of sits by the banister and eventually just like, no, I'm good. I'm going to go back to my room now.
I don't want any cookies, but thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, but no thanks.
I'll take safety in my dream over your cookies.
So Deanna is back on her way. Now, the sun is set now at this point. It is nighttime. Deanna's on her way to return Spencer's stolen rations, that box of food that he had
and
stashed.
I'll mention it wasn't a lot of food. It was enough for a couple
handful
people.
of items.
Yeah.
Express lane worthy.
Right.
I like and out of nowhere, this walker, is probably,
big,
we see a W on
walker.
Its forehead. Yeah. It's obviously a turned wolf. One that was probably inside the walls, had a bad injury or something, and eventually got turned.
Yeah, I think Rick actually mentions they couldn't find one of the ones that were killed.
That's right. We were wondering where there was, where this one went off to or something like that. So,
but that wasn't before Deanna goes all Ike Turner on his ass.
Boy, she. So one of the things that now she's obviously scared of this walker. She drops this basket of provisions, this basket of groceries. The bottle of whiskey that her son was trying to drown his sorrows in breaks, and she grabs half that broken bottle. Straight gangster style.
Yes.
She was not messing around and just goes to town with that broken bottle on that zombie's chest. Zombie's chest.
But Deanna, it's not the chest that you want to go for.
And this just proves just how inexperienced and how naive and how just doomed these Alexandrians are. They have absolutely no idea of how to handle themselves in a zombie situation, in a face-to-face zombie situation. Because anybody who has dealt with any zombies at all would know that you need that headshot. You need traumatic brain injury in order to stop the zombie.
But she does take the zombie down. She gets him on the ground. Yeah.
And Rick comes to save the day right at the last second. And he's like, you need to lead the residents. You need to come back. We need the old Deanna back.
But did you see how she looked? She was covered head to toe in blood and ick and everything from all that stabbing she was doing. And
she asks Rick, she's like, was this my vision for this Alexandria? Was this just a pie in the sky type of dream or whatever? And he's just like, no, I don't know if he was just patronizing her.
No, he got it. He gets it. He wants the same thing, but he knows that you can't have it yet. There's got to be a lot of stuff happen before that can happen.
Yeah, exactly. There is definitely a lot of rebuilding to go still before they get to that point.
So anyway, Rick dispatches the zombie, and would it have killed them? Would it have killed the riders just to say, for Rick to look at her, look at Deanna with all that blood all over her face, and to say, "Hey, you got red on you."
you got a little something
because of Shaun of the Dead. That was
all right.
So anyway, I thought it was wonderful. She was taking the stuff back. I would have liked it a lot better if her son had taken it back. But
sure.
I guess it makes it a more interesting story that he's a bit of an ass. And it kind of goes along with the other son that was killed, because he was a bit of an ass too. But it seems to me that a lot of them are coming around to the way of thinking. And actually in this situation, Deanna actually tells Rick that he needs to be the leader of Alexandria. And I could just hear the stars and stripes playing and explosions going off in Rick's head. Yes, I'm the king.
Well, but it was very. He pretty much considers himself the leader as it is.
But he was doing a very good job of deferring to her and trying to bring her along. I mean, other than that time where he was beating up on I forget the lady's name, husband, and then waving that pistol around at everybody. But so it does seem that the crew is coming around. The Alexandria crew is coming around to Rick's way of thinking. And I'm hoping that Ron is actually wanting to learn to shoot that gun because he wants to be a member of the team and they can all survive. I think having a vendetta and, bringing about vengeance because of your wife beating dad being killed by this man it's going to be counter to your survival. I think that anybody that takes the time to find out what Rick and his group have been through, they are survivalists. And it is probably a good bet to bet on them and to go along with what they're doing and do what the hell they say to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And doing what they say to do. That's the thing. And we've got some really low morale right now in Alexandria.
It's understandable.
So it's going to be very, very curious to see whether or not the people will follow.
So let's talk about when Deanna's walking away. She collects the things that had fallen on the ground.
Last scene of this episode, and we see a very renewed, very determined Deanna, with her spark back and that spring in her step and that determination, that strong will, and she's going up to the gate. She is marching, right? And there's obviously the horde, never-ending horde of zombies that don't sleep. They don't take a break.
Nah.
And they're banging on the wall and the fence and everything. Well, she bangs back. Bangs back viciously. She walks away all proud, like I showed them. Well, we see the camera kind of pan past her and focusing on a part of the wall, and we see something very interesting and troubling at the same time.
Yep, we see the
blood.
I was thinking
bleeding walls.
I was thinking the wall was actually breaking apart, but I went actually rewound it and watched it several times, and it was a stream of something. And the only thing I can think of is that it's blood. Now, of course, the zombies are juicy, but I don't think they actually bleed like that. So it almost leads me to believe that it's a individual, human, an alive person, maybe injured, but they're not zombied. They're actual person.
I'm sorry to completely shatter your world that you think it might be a bleeding Glenn on the other side of the fence. It's not. If you remember, I'm gonna try and jog your memory here. Back when the zombie horde was approaching the deflection wall that they built, the new wall outside of Alexandria, the wall that they needed to to put up and reinforce for this large zombie herd that was going to be coming around the corner. And they needed to bank these zombies off of that wall. And if you remember, there was a scene where they kind of focused in on the zombie horde as it hit that wall. And they kind of started moving and rolling off of it and off into their new direction. And you could hear it, and they panned in on it, and you could see it, how the zombies, there was so much of them. It was like, being at the front row of a big, huge rock concert or something like that. And you've got 10,000 people behind you, all pushing to get a little bit closer to the stage. And it's that mass, it's that force behind this never-ending pushing mass of zombie flesh that basically turned to mush the zombies that were up against that fence as the horde hit it for the first time. And you could see them just massacring zombies into mush as this horde hit this deflector fence and went onto its new direction. And it's that same thing that is happening right now. There is so much zombies, and they are so thick, and they are pressing so hard up against that wall that the zombies that are closest to front of the stage, if you will, are getting turned into mush. And
so, what's the point of the camera hanging on that?
This is the story. Care? This is the story of the little boy and the hole in the dam, and he's got to plug the hole with his finger. And pretty soon a new leak pops up. He's got to plug that hole with his finger. And pretty soon there's so many leaks, the dam is about ready to burst. And that's what's happening here. That blood is this never-ending torrent of zombie river coming towards them. And that blood trickling through the wall is the wall weakening under the force of all of this zombie mass. And there's that weak point is some of that goo and some of this zombie blood and stuff is being pushed through a new weak point in the wall.
So I like what you're saying there, young man, but I'm sorry to tell you it is Glenn that is covered in Nicholas's blood, and he cannot cry out because he's trying to find a way in, but he can't alert his presence to the zombie horde. So that's the blood. That is actually Nicholas's blood dripping off of Glenn, along with the other zombie goo that actually saved his life. And he's not a zombie, and he's gonna find his way in, and we're gonna see him really soon. It's either that or it's Zombie Glenn, but I'm going for the first one.
Well, time will tell.
So what do you guys think? Do you think Glenn's alive or not? We'd like to know what you think. And if you don't think that Glenn's alive, I don't want to know what you think.
Yeah, right. Hey, if you guys have something you want to take us to task on, something that we might have missed, let's say you have your own perspective on a part of one of the episodes, we'd like to hear from you guys. You can leave us a message over at our SpeakPipe feature at TonyandJosh.com. You can find that right there on the right side of the page. Looks like a little microphone there. Basically like an answering machine on the internet. All you need is a smartphone, a tablet, or a computer with a microphone in it, and you guys can leave us a great sounding voicemail. Another way that you guys can reach us and give us your opinions is by sending us an email to info@TonyandJosh.com.
We love hearing from you guys, and love hearing from you on the regular show too, with stories that we can use on the regular Tony and Josh show, like we've gotten from Dusty Old Dunn. So looking forward to next week, and I will be exonerated with that will be Glenn, and everything I said will be true, Josh.
Well, we'll see.
So look for us next week, and we will be reviewing what is it?
606.
Yeah, I lost my notes. 606. And do you have the episode name?
Yes, Always Accountable is what that's going to be. And it looks like Daryl goes on a little hunting spree for some dubs. That's short for W's.
Now, gotcha.
Yeah,
I thought
I got a sneak peek of what next week's episode is going to look like, and it looks like we're going to see a lot of focus on Daryl and his storyline as far as what's happening with him outside of the walls of Alexandria. Now, I don't think this is going to be another one of these. Let's look into the past of this character and see what brought them up to this point. This is going to be like what's happening outside the walls right now, outside of Alexandria. And we see a little bit of Sasha and Abraham and how they're how they're handling their situation and stuff. But obviously, as we know, that Daryl went back on his own.
Right.
And we see him walking his motorcycle through the woods. And he is just spent. We don't know how long he's been out there. We don't know how long. We don't know what kind of condition he's in. We see that he's very tired. He's very spent. Obviously, the gas is. I don't know if the gas is run out on the motorcycle or if he's just not riding it to save gas. Or he doesn't want to call attention to himself.
Right.
In any case, he's walking this bike through the woods. It's got to be tough.
Yeah.
And at one point, he actually falls. And it's very interesting because he's walking through the woods with his bike. We're seeing a lot of burnt corpses, a lot of zombies who have obviously come into contact with a lot of fire. But the rest of the forest doesn't really look like it's all burnt down. So interesting observation there at that point. One of the things that Daryl kind of gets to this point of where I can't go on any further. The bike falls down. He falls down. He's just spent. He tries to radio Sasha and Abraham. Again, no radio response on that radio either. And he looks down at that point after he's done trying to get his radio communication in, and he sees a burnt skull. And we see blood dripping from his hands onto the eye sockets of this burnt skull. Very interesting, very poignant moment in all of that. Yeah, very, very interesting to see what's going to happen with Daryl and the rest of the crew outside of Alexandria. Episode 606 coming up next week. Always accountable. Tony and Josh are going to recap AMC's Walking Dead.
Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you next week.